Okay, for this tutorial, I'm going to be using a battery holder with a battery, 3 LEDs that are compatible, some copper tape, some nylon conductive tape, and I like to have a battery tester handy just so that I can make sure over the course of my projects that everything is working okay. Now I've chosen for my LEDs a white one for the horn and 2 blue ones for the main. You can do what you are interested in. I do recommend sticking to white and blue or red and yellow if you're going to combine colors, because green is much brighter. Its mini candelas are greater than the white and the blue, so it kind of outshines them in this sort of situation. But that's up to you. You can play with them on your breadboard and find out what you like best. So what we're going to do is we're going to place the white LED at the top, as I said, the blue here, and we're going to have a negative bus running along the outside and a positive bus running along the inside. And then we are going to connect the positive bus to the leads, one of the positive leads, we don't actually need both of them, on our LED, and we're going to connect, on our battery, and we're going to connect the negative bus to the negative lead using a tab that we make out of conductive tape, out of the nylon conductive tape, so that we can turn our unicorn on and off. So we're going to start by laying out our buses. And then after that, we will glue down our battery holder and connect everything up to the buses. And then finally, we'll add our strip of conductive nylon so that we can actually connect it. And I misspoke, actually, as I'm looking at the way this layout now. We're going to have our negative bus on the outside connected to our negative LED and our positive bus on the inside, and that's what our tab is going to connect to. So we'll start out by laying down those buses. I'm going to test to make sure that my LED can actually reach, that my white LED can actually reach that bus, and it does. Okay, so now we'll start laying out our LEDs. Remember, our positive is on the inside and our negative is on the outside. Our negative leads are the shorter leads and our positive leads are the longer leads. Okay, that looks pretty perfect to me. They move around until you get the first layer of tape down, and then they stay put a little bit less fidgety. Since this right here, our positive bus right here, is going to also be our on-off switch, I'm going to go ahead and lay my tape over there first, because that way we can start worrying about gluing our battery holder on top of it. And I've started just gluing things down on these small projects, or taping things down with these small projects with more copper tape, because I've grown a little bit frustrated at the fact that the clear tape just doesn't always get a good enough connection. If there's a little bend in the wires or anything like that, it can allow that lead to come up and arc over the copper in a way that's very frustrating to try and debug. I'm taking my fingernail and I'm really etching these connections out to make sure, again, that we get a good connection. Okay. And now I'm going to do my first bit of testing with my little tester set. If you don't have a tester set, you can use your battery holder. It's just a lot more frustrating to try and see if you've got a good connection. Okay, so I'm doing this and they're not lighting up consistently, and you see the white one's not lighting at all. That's because I'm touching just both of the coppers. What I really want to look at is if I touch the negative lead that we haven't tied down yet. Interestingly, this white one isn't lighting, which means I don't have a good connection with the copper tape. There we go. Okay. And so now I'm ready to glue my battery case on. So the battery case, or the battery holder, has 3 LEDs. The bottom middle one is, 3 leads. The bottom middle one is a negative lead, and the 2 top ones are separate positive leads. We're only going to be using this positive lead here today, and I will end up using my wire clippers to cut off this top positive lead. I want to position it in such a way that my battery isn't showing across the front, but also so that when I put my button pin on top of this case, it's somewhat central to the unicorn. And I think this will work for me. Fairly soon after gluing it, you're going to want to take the battery out to make sure that you haven't accidentally glued the battery on as well when the glue squeezes out from here. Okay, I want to do some testing again. Oh, I can't test without a battery in. And it's working for me. Okay, it may not work on the first try for you because remember, I'm testing this whole copper thing, which I haven't yet taped anyone down to yet. Okay, and you'll note if I hold it like this way, my negative lead is really close to my copper tape there. And so you may end up wanting to slide, if you're having some difficulties, you may end up wanting to slide some clear tape underneath there to make sure that it doesn't actually connect. I'm going to go ahead and tape each of these connection points down. I'll end up using one piece of tape to connect these 3 and another piece of tape to connect that one. There's no reason to waste that much tape. Test it, still works. And I've just got a little teeny tiny piece for that top one. Test it, still works. Okay, so you might notice that this lead isn't great sticking off the end here. I'm just gonna clip that. Looks like in the course of clipping it, I made it just a bit finicky. So I'm just going over all of those connections again. There we go. Okay. You may want to take a little bit of hot glue gun and put it on the end of those wires, or you can take some clear tape so that they don't snag. And I'm going to clip my extra lead up top here that I don't need. It may have been better advised to do that before I put it on, but I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to end up wanting it for something. Finally, I have my last remaining positive lead that I want to attach some nylon conductive tape to. So the nylon conductive tape is great because it doesn't tear. You need to cut it. So it makes great for clips. Unfortunately, it's also not very adhesive. So you don't want to use it for all of these pieces. So we're going to go ahead and clip that. Now I kind of want to bend this wire around a little bit because, as I said, this nylon conductive tape isn't as adhesive as I'd like. And so we want to make sure that that wire can't just slide straight out of it. So I've ripped half the backing off. That just gives me room to play with it. Get it pinned down. And I'm going to try and fold this neatly up upon itself. And I have a little nylon tab. Now you can either leave it like this, okay, and be able to push that down onto the copper, or you can create another copper tab that comes down so that you can operate it from the front. Another nylon tab on top of this copper so that you can operate it from the front. And that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to cut another piece. This one, once I get the backing off, I'm going to fold up so that I'm folding it up by about 1/3, and I leave 1/3 hanging out. Okay, that bottom third is going to be our tab. The top third is going to be what we stick to the copper tape up there. Okay, so now we have a set of tabs that we can push from the front of our unicorn to make it glow. Now, more uses for the glue gun. Okay, this tab can be a little bit easy to accidentally come off. So you can glue gun that down. You can also glue gun your LEDs in place, because when you put this on a hard surface and push down, you'll find that the LEDs pop out. And you can glue any of these sharp edges here. You can also just take, as I said before, some copper tape to cover those up. But I do recommend putting just a spot of glue into each of those LED holds. It really makes them a lot more stable. So have fun with your unicorn and send me pictures. Oh, I messed with that one. This is why you want to do a little bit of glue gunning. So I messed with it just enough to make it not light up. Okay.